The people of Briarwood Heights always said the same thing about that neighborhood: if you want to see who the world forgets, just look under the bridge. And tonight, the world seemed determined to forget a man crumpled beside a graffiti-covered pillar, soaked by cold rain, shivering in clothes that looked more like rags than fabric. Cars sped by without slowing. Windows rolled up. People stared, some with pity, some with disgust, but not one person stopped. Except the one who had the least. 11-year-old Zara Monroe, skinny, hungry, and wrapped in an oversized hand-me-down jacket, walked home from her part-time job at Mr. Halden's corner shop. The jacket was so big it swallowed her wrists, but it was the only one she had. Her school backpack, faded, ripped at the seams, bounced against her spine as she hurried along the dim street. She wasn't supposed to be working at her age. But life didn't care about rules for kids like her. Her mom was sick. Rent was due. And tomorrow, the school wanted money for a field trip Zara knew she could never afford. Still, she walked with her chin up, clutching the hot leftover bread rolls Mr. Halden had allowed her to take home. But then, she heard it. A groan, soft, painful, coming from under the overpass. She froze. Lightning flashed, revealing the silhouette of a man lying half in a puddle, half against a concrete pillar. His hair was tangled, his beard unkempt, and his clothes. Zara had never seen anyone dressed so badly. Not even the men who slept near the train station. At first glance, he looked like every adult told her to avoid. Drunks, crazy people, troublemakers. Her teacher once said, if you see someone like that, walk away. Fast. But Zara didn't. She couldn't. Because in the man's groan, she heard something familiar. A sound she had heard from her mother on nights when the sickness was too much. A sound of pain, not danger. She stepped closer. A group of teenagers walking by spotted her and burst into laughter. Look at that. Lil' charity girl thinks she's a hero. Careful, he might bite. One girl snickered loudly and pulled out her phone. I'm recording this. World needs to see how dumb you are, helping a drunk. Zara flinched. Humiliation burned hot across her cheeks. But she didn't run. Instead, she knelt beside the man. Rain soaked through her jeans instantly. The cold stung her knees, then her legs, then her spine. But she didn't move. The man's breathing was slow, uneven. His hands were muddy, trembling. His face was thin, too thin. If he was drunk, he wasn't drunk on anything but misery. Sir. Zara whispered. No answer. Another groan. She set the warm bread on the dry cardboard beside him, then gently shook his shoulder. Behind her, the teens continued mocking her. Look at her touching him. Gross. Someone get her a disinfectant bath. Girl, just go home, he's worthless. Worthless. That word hit her chest like a stone. Because she had heard it before. About her. About her mother. About anyone who didn't have money or power. Zara swallowed hard, ignoring the sting in her throat. Sir, can you hear me? She tried again. This time, the man opened one eye, just barely. Not drunk. Not crazed. Just broken. His voice cracked like dry wood. Why are you helping me? Zara blinked. Because you look like you need help. The teens burst into louder laughter, like she'd told the world's funniest joke. Some people don't deserve help, one shouted. Zara turned to them. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was steady. Everyone deserves help. The girl recording rolled her eyes. You're gonna regret touching that man, I swear. Their footsteps faded as they walked off, still laughing, still recording, still ready to humiliate her online for likes. Zara faced the man again. The rain had turned his clothes into icy armor. She lifted the warm rolls and held one toward him. Eat, please, she said softly. The man stared at her, confused, maybe even scared of her kindness. But he reached out, his fingers trembling harder than before, and took the bread. He didn't eat it immediately. Instead, he looked at her with an expression that made Zara's heart tighten, like he hadn't seen kindness in years. "What's your name?" he whispered. "Zara," she replied. "I live just a few blocks away. I can get help if you want." The man shook his head weakly. "No, no help." "Why?" He swallowed painfully. "Not safe." Zara didn't understand. How could help be unsafe? But she noticed something. Something strange. A glint under the dirt on his wrist, almost metallic. Not a bracelet. Not a watch. But something expensive looking, hidden, almost intentionally covered. She frowned, confused. "Sir, who are you?" Another siren wailed in the distance. Another car passed, splashing water onto both of them. The cold grew sharper. And the man whispered. "No one." But his eyes. His eyes told a different story. Eyes of someone who once held the world. Eyes of someone who had fallen from a height most people never reach. Zara didn't know it yet. Nobody did. But that man wasn't a drunk. He wasn't homeless. He was the most controversial billionaire in the entire country, missing for months, hunted by enemies, hiding from a betrayal that shattered his life. And tonight, a poor black girl was the only person in the world who bothered to touch his hand. The moment was small. Quiet. Barely noticed. But it would soon shake the world. And what happened next would change everything. If this moment made your heart tighten, tell me where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories, like the way he instinctively shielded his left side, an injury, maybe hidden under his clothes. Occasionally, he winced and pressed his hand to his ribs. Like the faint scent on him, not alcohol, but something expensive buried underneath the dirt. A cologne that hadn't fully washed away. And then. Piece number 6. When she reached out to help him sit up straighter, his sleeve shifted, and she saw it. A dark bruise. But not a random bruise. A fingerprint-shaped bruise. Zara froze. Someone hadn't just pushed him around. Someone had grabbed him. Hard. She swallowed. "Eli, did someone hurt you?" His silence spoke louder than an answer. But when he finally lifted his eyes, there was something in them she hadn't seen before. Protectiveness. "Zara," he whispered, voice tight, "you need to stay safe. Helping me, it might put you in danger." Zara straightened her little shoulders, her voice quiet but firm. "Then we stay safe together." It hit him like lightning. A child, the poorest child he'd ever met, offered him the very thing billionaires spend lifetimes trying to buy. Loyalty. Kindness. Humanity. A lump formed in his throat. "You shouldn't care this much about a stranger." Zara smiled softly. "You're not a stranger anymore." Eli exhaled shakily, looking away, because if he looked at her any longer, he might break apart completely. The clues were piling up around her like puzzle pieces scattered on the ground. But soon, the world would force those pieces together. And the truth, his truth, would explode into the open. For a long moment, neither Zara nor Eli spoke. The rain softened into a gentle drizzle, almost like the sky itself was afraid of interrupting the fragile quiet that had formed between them. Zara tucked her legs beneath her and sat fully beside him now, not hovering, not scared, not rushed. Just there. A tiny girl with soaked braids, trembling from cold, but refusing to leave. Eli studied her in the dim streetlight. Her jacket swallowed her small frame. Her jeans had holes at the knees where fabric had thinned from overuse. Her sneakers, once pink, were now a tired, murky brown. Everything about her screamed hardship. Yet everything about her radiated strength. "You remind me of someone," Eli murmured again, voice softening. "Who?" Zara asked. This time, he didn't avoid the question. His gaze drifted to the puddles at his feet, reflecting distorted bits of light. "My daughter." Zara's eyes widened. You have a daughter?" Eli nodded slowly. "She would have been your age." "Would have been." The word struck like a quiet lightning strike. Zara didn't speak, didn't push. She had learned long ago that silence sometimes helps people talk more than questions do. Eli's breath trembled. "She died, years ago." Zara's chest tightened. "I'm so sorry." He swallowed hard. "She was kind. Brighter than the world deserved." When she smiled, everything felt possible. A faint smile tugged at Zara's mouth, gentle and understanding. "You sound like you loved her a lot." "I still do." His voice cracked, just barely, but enough. For the first time since she found him, Eli wasn't guarded. The man who'd flinched at footsteps, who hit his wrist, who recoiled at touch, now he looked like he was letting himself breathe. Zara reached out, placing her small hand on his forearm. Not tightly. Just enough to say, "You're not alone right now." Eli froze, then slowly relaxed beneath her touch. The warmth of her hand felt like something he hadn't felt in years, trust without conditions. Care without expectation. "Do you miss her every day?" Zara whispered. "Every second." He stared at her, eyes glistening. "You even sound like her. She used to talk about people the way you do. Like everyone deserved a second chance." Zara's lips curled shyly. "My mom says the world is already mean enough. We shouldn't add to it." "Your mother sounds wise." "She is. She just gets tired a lot." "Tired, how?" Zara hesitated, but answered honestly. "She's sick. She works when she can." "I work too, even though I'm not supposed to." Eli's forehead creased. "You're a child, Zara." "I know," she whispered. "But bills don't care." Something inside Eli twisted painfully. This little girl, this child still learning multiplication tables, was fighting battles adults couldn't survive. And yet she sat here, using her last resources to comfort a man who the world assumed was worthless. He exhaled, shaking his head in disbelief. "You should be home warm, not sitting out here in the rain helping me." "You needed me," she said simply. "And I don't like the idea of someone being alone when they feel bad." Eli let out a breath unlike any he'd released since he disappeared from the world, soft, relieved, human. "Zara," he said quietly, "you've done more for me in 1 hour than anyone has in months." She shrugged. "Doesn't feel like much." "It is." His voice was almost a whisper. "You don't understand how important kindness is until you lose it." Zara watched him carefully now, noticing things she hadn't before. He wasn't just sad. He was carrying something, something huge, something heavy, something that had crushed the life out of the man he used to be. She didn't know his past. She didn't know his name. She didn't know the danger surrounding him like a silent storm. But she knew one thing. "I won't leave you," she said softly. His eyes snapped to hers, startled. "You should," he whispered. "For your own safety." "No," she said again, firmer this time. "You're not scary. You're hurt. That's different." A tremor ran through him, not from cold, but from emotion. No one had spoken to him like that in years. No one had seen him in years. And in that moment, as they sat together under the old bridge with rain fading into mist, something unspoken formed between them. Connection. Trust. A fragile bond that neither of them fully understood. But both desperately needed. Soon, that bond would be tested. Soon, the world would come crashing in. And neither of them were ready for what was coming next. Rain still fell in thin, shivering sheets, but Zara barely felt it anymore. Her focus was on the man slumped beside her, the way his fingers trembled around the warm roll she'd given him. Most adults ignored her. Some pitied her. Others judged her. But no one had ever looked at her the way he just did. Like her presence alone had stopped him from disappearing entirely. Like she mattered. Zara shifted closer, shielding him from the rain with her too-big jacket. It didn't do much, the jacket was old, thin, frayed at the edges, but she stretched it wide anyway, arms shaking from the cold. "You'll get sick," she murmured. The man gave a weak, almost ironic chuckle. "Already am." His voice was raspy, scraped raw by something deeper than illness. Zara didn't know what that meant, but she wasn't the type to give up on someone just because they sounded hopeless. "Here." She tore her stale bread into small pieces and held them toward him. "Eat slowly. My mom says that when you haven't eaten in long, your stomach gets scared." The man blinked at her, long, slow, like he wasn't sure he heard her right. "Your stomach gets scared," he repeated. Zara nodded seriously. "Yeah. Happens to me sometimes." Those words hit him harder than she knew. He ate carefully, his hands shaking so much she had to keep steadying the bread for him. Every few seconds, he winced, not from pain but from the vulnerability of being helped by a child. "I shouldn't," he murmured. "You should go home. It's late." "I'm okay," Zara said gently. "I walk home alone all the time." His brows tightened. "You shouldn't have to." The softness in his tone startled her. Most adults said things like that only to scold her later. But there was no judgment in his voice. Just sadness. A sadness that felt old. She pulled her backpack into her lap, unzipped it, and dug around until she found a crumpled napkin and a tiny plastic water bottle. Only half full, but she placed it in his hands anyway. "You can have it. I'll drink water at home." He stared at her like she was handing him gold. "Why, are you being kind to me?" he whispered again, still unbelieving. Zara looked around. Empty road. Flickering streetlights. The sound of cars far away. The world felt huge, and she felt small, but she answered honestly. "Because nobody else is." The words landed between them like warm light on a cold floor. The man's throat tightened. His eyes stung, not with rain, but with something deeper. He turned his face away quickly, as if embarrassed to let a child see the emotion on it. Zara pretended not to notice. She just kept helping. She took the napkin and carefully wiped mud and rain from his forehead, moving slowly so she didn't scare him. He flinched at first, probably not used to being touched, but then he let out a shaky breath and relaxed beneath her gentle motions. "You remind me of someone," he whispered. "Who?" He opened his mouth, but closed it again. Whatever memory she stirred in him, it hurt too much to say. Instead, he whispered, "Thank you, Zara." She smiled, small, shy, but warm. "You're welcome. What's your name?" His lips parted slightly, like he was about to answer. But then he froze. He couldn't tell her the truth. The truth would endanger her. "Call me Eli," he said finally. Zara repeated it softly, "Eli." "Okay. Eli." Short, simple, nothing like the powerful name that once appeared on buildings, on headlines, on global financial reports. But tonight, he wasn't a billionaire. He was cold. Hungry. Alone. And a little black girl was treating him like a human being when the entire world had treated him like garbage. Zara reached into her backpack again and pulled out her small blue scarf, the only nice thing she owned. Her grandmother's scarf. The one she cherished. She wrapped it gently around Eli's neck. His eyes widened. No, no, I can't take that. It's okay, she said. It's warm, and you're freezing. He shook his head. But it's yours. Zara just smiled, the kind of smile that came from a place untouched by bitterness. Things can be replaced. People can't. His breath hitched. It had been a long time since anyone reminded him of something so simple, and so true. For a moment, the world blurred. Rain softened. The wind quieted. And a fragile connection grew between a man who had lost everything and a girl who had never had anything to lose. Neither of them knew it yet. But this moment, this act of pure, innocent compassion, was the spark that would ignite a global story. A story the world was not ready for. The rain finally softened to a mist, but the cold still clung to Eli's clothes like a second skin. Zara kept her scarf snug around his neck, checking it every few minutes like a nurse tending to a patient. Her fingers were numb, her clothes soaked, but she stayed. Something about him felt different. Not dangerous. Not threatening. Just out of place, like he didn't belong under this bridge, or anywhere near a life like this. Zara hugged her backpack tighter, watching him as he slowly chewed the small pieces of bread. She wasn't staring to be rude. She was studying him the way she studied puzzles in class, quietly, curiously, searching for missing pieces. Piece number 1, his hands. They were dirty now, yes, covered in mud, scraped in places, but beneath the grime, his nails were neatly trimmed. Not like someone who lived on the streets. Piece number 2, his posture. Even slumped, even weak, there was something structured about the way he held himself. His back tried to stay straight. His shoulders kept trying to square, even though exhaustion kept pulling them down. Piece number 3, his voice. Not slurred. Not confused. Not the voice of a drunk man. Piece number 4, that metallic thing on his wrist. Zara couldn't stop glancing at it. A thin strip of gold, real gold, peeking out from under layers of dirt and torn cloth. Not flashy, not thick, but elegant. Something a wealthy man would wear. But why would a wealthy man hide under a bridge? She didn't want to jump to conclusions, but the thought kept hitting her like a quiet drumbeat. Who are you really, Eli? Zara swallowed her curiosity and asked softly, were you always, living outside? Eli opened his eyes again, blinking rain from his lashes. No. She hesitated. What happened? A long pause. A heavy one. Then, in a voice so quiet she could barely hear. I trusted the wrong people. Zara's heart clenched. She knew that feeling too well, kids who pretended to be her friends so they could laugh at her later, teachers who promised to help but never did, landlords who said they'd wait for payment but threw threats the next day. But she also sensed Eli meant something bigger. Way bigger. Before she could ask more, she noticed piece number 5. His shoes. They were dusty, soaked, nearly ruined, but the shape was unmistakable. These are fancy shoes, she murmured, touching one gently. He stiffened instantly. Don't, he whispered, not angrily, but urgently, like touching them could expose something dangerous. Zara pulled her hand back. Sorry. He shook his head, calming himself. Not your fault. But his reaction told her everything. He was hiding something. Something important. A sudden rumble of an engine roared overhead as a car crossed the bridge. Eli flinched, hard. His entire body tensed the way an animal reacts to a predator. Zara's brows knitted. Eli, are people looking for you? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he scanned the shadows beneath the bridge with sharp, alert eyes, eyes of someone who had spent days watching for danger. Not days stumbling drunk. She felt a prickle of fear, not from him, but for him. "Do you owe someone money?" she whispered. Or did you run away from someone bad?" Eli turned his gaze back to her. His eyes were full of something she couldn't name. Fear, yes, but also grief. Also regret. "It's complicated," he finally said. Zara bit her lip. She wanted to push for more answers, but something inside her, instinct, maybe, told her not to. If he didn't feel safe telling her, then the truth must be huge. Bigger than either of them. Still, she kept noticing things. Little things. Strange things. Night deepened around them, swallowing the streets in heavy shadows. The bridge above hummed each time a car passed, but beneath it, the world felt eerily still. Too still. Zara didn't notice it at first. But Eli did. His body stiffened again, shoulders tightening, eyes scanning the far side of the underpass with the instinct of someone who had spent days, maybe weeks, on alert. Someone who knew what danger sounded like before it even arrived. Zara saw the change immediately. "What's wrong?" she whispered. Eli didn't answer. His jaw clenched, and he reached for something on the ground, just a stick, but he held it like a weapon. Zara's heart quickened. This wasn't like earlier when he seemed afraid of nothing and everything at once. This was different. This was recognition. Familiar fear. Like he'd heard this exact sound before. Zara strained her ears. At first she heard nothing. Then. Crunch. Crunch. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Someone was walking toward them. Eli leaned closer to her, his voice barely audible. "Zara, listen carefully. If anything happens, you run home as fast as you can." Her small hand clutched his sleeve. "No. I'm not leaving you." "Yes, you are," Eli whispered sharply. "You must." "But. Zara." His eyes burned into hers. "Please." She swallowed, fear rising like a cold wave in her chest. She didn't want to leave him, not when he looked more afraid than she had ever seen him. But before she could argue again, a shadow slipped into view on the far end of the underpass. At first, Zara thought it was just a man passing by. But then she saw the stance, rigid, purposeful. The clothing, dark, clean, too neat for this neighborhood. The walk, slow, predatory. This was not someone wandering the streets. This was someone searching. And the moment his eyes landed on Eli, Zara felt it in the air. A tension thick enough to choke on. "Well, well." The man said, voice dripping with mock sympathy. "Looks like the rumors were true. You really are alive." Zara's breath froze. Eli straightened, forcing himself upright even though she could see the pain ripple through him. His voice was calm but edged with danger. "Leave her out of this." The man smirked. "Her? Oh, she's just a bonus complication." Zara's heart pounded. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. She had never seen Eli like this. Guarded, fierce, ready to fight even though his ribs were bruised and his body weakened. The man stepped closer, hands in his pockets. "Your disappearance caused quite a stir, you know. Investors panicking. Partners scrambling. You're bored, well, they're very grateful you vanished." Zara blinked in shock. Bored? Investors? What kind of man was Eli? He must have seen her confusion, because he slightly shifted to block her with his body. "Zara," he whispered, "move behind me." She didn't want to, but his tone left no room for refusal. She did. The stranger's eyes sparkled with cruel amusement. How adorable. Rescuing stray children now. "She saved me," Eli snapped. "Then she made a very foolish mistake," the man replied. Zara's stomach dropped. Eli tightened his grip on the stick, not that it offered much protection, but at least it was something. What do you want? Eli demanded. To finish what should have been finished months ago. The man took one step closer. Then another. Then another. Zara instinctively grabbed Eli's shoulder. Eli, let's go. Please. Eli shook his head. Running won't help. Why not? Because he isn't alone. Zara's blood ran cold. As if on cue, two more shadows emerged from the darkness behind the first man. Tall, broad, silent. 3 against 1. 3 against an injured man and a child. Zara squeezed her eyes shut for a second, trying to breathe. She'd faced bullies before, hunger before, hardship before. But nothing like this. The first man gestured lazily with his hand. Bring him. And bring the girl too. Loose ends irritate me. Eli pushed Zara behind him, chest rising in pain as he stepped forward like a shield. You're not touching her. The man raised an eyebrow. And how exactly do you plan to stop us? Eli didn't answer. He wouldn't win a fight. He knew it. They knew it. Even Zara knew it. But he stood anyway. Because for the first time since losing everything, he had something to protect again. The men began to advance. Zara's breath hitched. Eli. I'm scared. I know, he whispered, lowering his voice, keeping his eyes on the threat. But listen to me. You are brave. And you are going to run when I tell you. Do you understand? No, tears welled in her eyes. I'm not leaving you. Eli's voice broke, just a little. You have to survive this. That's all that matters. Her chest tightened painfully. She shook her head. The intruders were only a few steps away now. Zara's heartbeat thundered. Eli raised his makeshift stick. The man sighed. This would have been so much cleaner if you'd stayed dead. Just as one of the men reached for Zara, ready to snatch her. A sharp crack split through the air. Not lightning. Not thunder. A gunshot. The men froze. Eli froze. Zara screamed. From the shadows behind them, a deep commanding voice roared. Step away from the girl. Now. And for the first time, Zara saw something flicker across Eli's face. Relief. Someone was coming. Someone powerful. Someone not hunting him, but protecting him. The world around them shifted. Everything was about to change. The gunshot echoed off the concrete walls like a thunderclap, jolting Zara's heart into her throat. She clung to Eli's arm as the 3 men stiffened, turning sharply toward the source of the sound. Another figure stepped into view. Slowly, powerfully, his silhouette cutting through the dimness. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Moving with the precision of someone trained, dangerous, and utterly fearless. Rain glinted off the sleek weapon in his gloved hand. Zara's breath caught. Eli exhaled, a trembling mix of relief and dread. The lead attacker scowled. You. The man with the gun stepped forward, voice deep and cold enough to freeze the air. Target acquired, he said into a small earpiece. Mr. Hale is alive. Repeat, alive. Sending coordinates. Zara blinked. Mr. Hale. Who was Mr. Hale? She looked up at Eli, his face had gone pale. A name she didn't know had just attached itself to him. A name that felt heavy, important, dangerous. The attacker scoffed. So the rumors were true. The board did send you. Security dog still loyal to the end, huh? The armed man didn't blink. Step away. Last warning. But these men weren't the type to back down. Not when violence was part of their language. The lead attacker sneered. You won't shoot. Not in front of a child. Zara felt Eli flinch beside her. The man had just named the thing Eli feared most, that she would be caught in the crossfire. The gunman's voice remained icy. "Try me." The attacker smirked. "Fine." Everything happened at once. One henchman lunged toward Eli. Another dashed toward Zara. The leader charged for the gunman. And the world exploded into chaos. Eli pushed Zara down behind him with surprising strength. "Stay behind me," he yelled, even as pain tore across his ribs. Zara crouched low, heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. The gunman fired once. A warning shot into the air. Then swung his arm, striking the lead attacker across the jaw with brutal precision. The man crumpled to the ground. But the other two weren't stopping. One grabbed Eli by the collar. Eli fought back, even with his weakened body. But he was no match for a trained fighter. The attacker slammed him against the pillar. "Eli!" Zara cried, scrambling forward. The second henchman grabbed her wrist. She screamed, high, terrified, desperate. Eli roared, a raw, animal sound, and lunged, trying to tear the man off her, but he collapsed from the effort, wheezing in pain. The man lifted Zara off her feet. "Got the girl," he snarled. The armed protector turned at the sound, eyes blazing. Crack. He fired. A clean shot. Precise. The bullet hit the ground inches from the attacker's feet. Drop. Her. The henchman hesitated. Not because of fear. Because he realized the truth. The protector wasn't trying to kill them. He was trying to avoid shooting anywhere near Zara. The henchman grinned. "You won't risk hitting the kid. Makes my job easy." He tightened his grip on her arm, pulling her closer. Zara cried out, tears mixing with rain. "Eli!" Eli dragged himself forward, grabbing the man's leg. "Let her go." His voice echoed with pain and fury. The attacker kicked him off. Eli hit the ground, coughing violently. "Eli!" Zara sobbed. The protector cursed under his breath, then holstered his gun. He couldn't shoot. Not with the child in danger. Instead, he charged. He slammed into the henchman holding Zara, tackling him with the full weight of a trained operative. The man lost his grip, and Zara dropped to the ground, rolling toward Eli. "Come here." Eli rasped, reaching for her. Zara crawled to him, shaking uncontrollably. Behind them, the protector and the attacker fought with vicious force, grunts, punches, the sound of boots scraping concrete. But the protector was stronger, faster, relentless. Within seconds. Thud. The henchman was face down on the pavement. The protector turned to the last man, the one Eli had tried to fight himself. That man took one look at the fallen bodies of his partners, at the gunman's cold eyes. And he ran. Cowardly. Fast. Disappearing into the darkness without a backward glance. The protector didn't chase. Instead, he strode toward Eli and Zara, breathing hard but controlled. He knelt. "Sir," he said. "We need to move. Now. Your location is compromised." Eli nodded weakly, but his first instinct wasn't himself, it was Zara. "She goes home," Eli said firmly, pulling her close. "She's not part of this." The protector shook his head. "They've seen her face." Zara froze. Eli's heart nearly stopped. "What does that mean?" Zara whispered, voice trembling. The protector looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time. "It means," he said quietly, "you're not safe anymore." Zara felt her world tilt. Eli closed his eyes in anguish. The rain began again, soft but relentless, as if the sky itself understood. Everything had changed. And danger, was only just beginning. For a moment, the world stood frozen beneath the bridge. Eli slumped against the pillar, Zara clutching his sleeve with trembling fingers, and the protector scanning every shadow with a soldier's instinct. Rain dripped steadily, rhythmic and cold, while the city beyond them kept moving, unaware that a billionaire, a child, and a deadly secret were colliding in the darkness. "Sir, we need extraction immediately," the protector said into his earpiece, voice sharp with urgency. "The target has been located and compromised." He paused. "Negative. There is a child involved. She is now a witness." Zara felt a shiver crawl up her spine. A witness. To what? To who? The protector's gaze flicked toward her, not unkind, but assessing, the way a doctor looks at an injury that can't be ignored. Eli shifted painfully, pulling Zara closer, protective to the last breath. "She's just a kid. She didn't ask for this. And yet she's in it," the protector replied, not coldly but honestly. "Those men won't stop. And whoever sent them. They'll come again." "Who are they?" Zara whispered. Eli's eyes softened with sorrow. "People who want me gone." Her heart squeezed. "Why?" Before Eli could speak, headlights burst through the underpass, sweeping across the concrete in a blinding arc. Zara flinched and buried her face in Eli's arm. A sleek black SUV rolled to a stop as silently as a shadow. No sirens, no markings, just tinted windows and armor plating that shimmered faintly even in the rain. The protector stood immediately, posture straightening to military precision. "Team Alpha. About time." 3 figures stepped out, 2 men, 1 woman, all dressed in dark tactical gear, all moving with synchronized efficiency. Zara had never seen people like them, not even in movies. They radiated seriousness, strength, danger. One approached with a medical kit. "Where is Mr. Hale's injury?" Zara blinked again. "Mr. Hale. That name again." She turned to Eli. "Is that your real name?" He looked away, shame flickering across his face. "It was," he murmured. "Before all of this." The medic knelt, trying to examine him. "Sir, we need to treat you." "No," Eli raised a shaky hand. "Help her first." Zara startled. "Me? I'm okay." The medic's eyes scanned her quickly, mud on her face, bruises on her wrist from the attacker's grip, trembling from cold and fear. "You are not okay," he said gently. "You're in shock." The protector stepped closer, his voice low. "Little one. They grabbed you. That means someone will report it. That means you're now on a list you shouldn't be on." Zara swallowed hard. "A list?" Eli took her hand. His grip was weak but warm. "Zara, listen to me. They didn't just want me. They wanted silence. And now you've seen their faces. They won't forget that." Her chest tightened, breath hitching. "I don't want to be in danger," she whispered brokenly. Eli cupped her cheek with trembling fingers. "I know. And I'm going to fix this. I promised you I'd keep you safe." The protector exchanged a glance with the woman on his team. A silent conversation passed between them, one filled with concern. "Sir," the protector said carefully, "protocol requires that we relocate both of you. Temporarily." Zara's eyes widened. "Relocate? Like, take us away?" "To safety," he clarified. "Until we neutralize the threat." "But my mom," Zara's voice cracked. "She's at home. She's sick. I can't just leave her." Eli's heart clenched so hard he winced. This child, this little girl with braided hair and hand-me-down clothes, had risked everything for him. Now the world he had escaped was consuming hers. He forced himself upright despite the agony shooting through his ribs. "Take Zara to her home," he ordered. Make sure her mother is safe. Then bring them both to a secure location. The protector's brows rose. Sir, that's highly irregular. I don't care, Eli snapped, fire flashing in his eyes. She saved my life. She is under my protection now. Zara stared at him, tears welling. She didn't fully understand who he was, or why these powerful people obeyed him, or why men had tried to kill him. But she understood one thing. He meant what he said. The protector nodded once. Understood. Orders received. Eli turned to Zara, brushing a tear from her cheek. You're not alone anymore, Zara. I won't let anything happen to you. She leaned into him, small arms wrapping around his shoulders. He closed his eyes, resting his forehead against hers, a silent promise passing between them. The SUV doors opened. Rain fell harder. And as the team prepared to transport them into a world Zara never knew existed, the first real truth began to rise from the darkness. Eli Hale wasn't just a homeless stranger. He was a man whose disappearance had shaken nations. A man whose enemies were ruthless. A man whose life, and now hers, would ignite a story none of them were ready for. The SUV sped through Briarwood's dim streets, tires slicing through puddles as the city blurred past. Zara sat in the back seat, wrapped in a warm black tactical jacket 2 sizes too big. It smelled faintly of metal and mint, nothing like her detergent at home. Nothing like her world at all. Beside her, Eli Hale winced every time the car jolted over a bump. The medic had done what he could inside the vehicle. Wrapped his ribs, cleaned the worst cuts, but Eli's injuries were deeper, older, and made worse by weeks of hiding. Zara stayed pressed close to him, her small hand in his. She'd never sat in a car this expensive. She'd never been part of anything like this. But she didn't feel scared of the SUV. She felt scared of what chased it. Ahead, the protector, now addressed as Agent Red, spoke quietly into his comms. Perimeter sweep initiated. Satellite feed confirms multiple unauthorized vehicles circling the girl's neighborhood. Zara stiffened. Unauthorized. That meant. They're already near my house, she whispered. Eli's grip tightened. They moved faster than I hoped. Zara's heart hammered against her ribs. Sweat and fear mixed on her palms. She thought of her mother lying on the old couch, coughing, trying to pretend she wasn't getting worse. What if those men went there? What if? Agent Red, Eli's voice hardened. Get her mother out. Now. Red nodded once. Team Bravo is already en route. Eli leaned back, jaw tight. Good. Zara stared at him, her voice small. Eli, why do they want to hurt you? Why do they want to find me now? Eli closed his eyes. Rain streaked the SUV windows like paint running down glass. It's because of who I used to be. Zara swallowed. Who were you? But he didn't answer. Not yet. The car turned sharply, heading toward Zara's neighborhood. As they approached the familiar streets, broken streetlights, cracked sidewalks, stray dogs wandering in shadows, Zara felt her stomach twist. This was her world. Her home. But now it looked different. Watched. Threatened. 2 more black SUVs were already parked near her building, engines running. Agents in dark gear moved silently across the yard. Zara pressed her face to the window, heart pounding. That's my place. Did they get my mom? Is she okay? Before the driver even stopped the car, Eli spoke, opened the door. Red shook his head. Sir, protocol. Open. The door. The door opened. Zara darted out, sprinting across the wet pavement toward her building, slipping once but catching herself. Eli stumbled out after her, ignoring his pain, calling her name. Zara. Slow down. But she couldn't. Her home was the only thing she had. She raced up the 3 steps and burst into the apartment building's dim hallway. Agents were everywhere. Checking doors, scanning corners, speaking into radios. "Mom," she cried. "Mom, where are you?" A door opened down the hall. A woman stepped out, coughing softly, wrapped in a thin blanket. Her face was pale, exhausted, but alive. "Zara," she whispered. "Baby, what's happening? Who are all these people?" Zara ran into her arms, trembling. "Mom! I'm so sorry, you're okay, right? No one hurt you?" Her mother held her tight, stroking her braids. "I'm fine. The men here said we have to leave immediately. Said it's about your friend." She looked over Zara's shoulder. Eli had made it up the hall, breath uneven, leaning on the wall for support. Zara's mother blinked in confusion. "This is the man you helped?" Zara nodded. "Yes. But he's not who we thought." Eli stepped forward slowly. "Ma'am. I owe your daughter my life. And I owe you the truth." But before he could say more, Red approached swiftly. "Sir, we need to move them now. We intercepted a vehicle attempting to access the back alley. Whoever sent those men, they know the girl is connected to you." Zara's mother stiffened. "Connected to him? Why would anyone care about us?" Eli took a shaky breath. "Because I am the reason they came." Red shot him a warning look. "Not here. Not now." But Eli shook his head. "She deserves to know." Zara's mother held her daughter close. "Eli, who are you?" He hesitated only a second. "My real name is Elijah Hale." Zara's mother frowned. "Hale? Like the Hale Foundation? The Hale Towers? The billionaire who disappeared months ago?" Her voice stopped. Zara felt the world tilt sideways. Her breath caught. Her eyes widened. "You're him," she whispered. Eli nodded once. "Yes." Zara's mother covered her mouth. "Dear God." Zara stared at him, tears forming, not out of fear, but astonishment. "But, you were living under a bridge." "I had no choice," Eli murmured. "People close to me turned against me. Tried to make it look like I died. Tried to take everything I built." Red stepped forward. "And they almost succeeded." Zara's mother looked between Eli and the agents, trembling. "Why involve my daughter?" "Because she saved me," Eli answered simply. "And because someone saw her do it." Zara felt cold all over. Someone had watched them. Someone had followed her. "Eli," she whispered. "Why didn't you tell me who you were?" He knelt in front of her despite the pain. Rain from the hallway window dripped on his back. "Because the truth puts you in danger," he said softly. "And I never wanted danger near you." Zara threw her arms around him, hugging him hard despite everything. Eli held her back just as tightly. But Agent Red cut in quickly. "We need to go. Now." The agents ushered them down the hall toward the waiting SUV. Zara clung to her mother's hand. Eli walked beside them, surrounded by protection but carrying the weight of a hunted man. Outside, the rain had stopped. The night air felt too still. As they climbed into the SUV, headlights flared at the end of the street. Red froze. "That vehicle," he said under his breath, "doesn't belong here." The engine revved. Zara's mom gasped. Eli pulled Zara close again. And before the SUV doors even closed, the unknown car accelerated, tires screeching as it charged straight toward them. The truth was out. The enemy was closing in. And the world was about to witness a storm. The black SUV lunged toward them like a charging beast, headlights slicing through the dark. Everything happened in a blur, agents yelling, Zara screaming, Eli pulling her behind him despite his injuries. Move! Agent Red roared. Two agents slammed the SUV doors shut, shoving Zara's mother inside. Red grabbed Eli and Zara by the collar and hurled them into the car just as the attacker's vehicle screeched across the pavement. Tires shrieked. Metal scraped. The world tilted. The impact never came. A second armored SUV barreled into the attacker's car from the side, crushing it against a street pole. Glass exploded across the asphalt. The attacker's vehicle hissed, sputtered, and went still. Sirens sounded in the distance, not police sirens, but the shrill-coded alarm of private security reinforcement. Go! 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 Red barked. Their SUV shot forward, engines roaring. Zara clung to her mother, both shaken but unharmed. Eli braced himself between them, breathing rough, ribs burning with every movement. Through the rear window, fire glowed from the crumpled car they'd escaped. Shadows moved, agents swarming, pulling the unconscious driver from the wreck. Zara whispered, Are they trying to kill us? No, Red answered without looking back. They're trying to silence Mr. Hale. Eli flinched. He hated the name now. Hated what it meant. What it had cost him. Zara's mother finally found her voice. Mr. Hale, why didn't you go to the police? Eli let out a hollow laugh. When your enemies control the board, the lawyers, and the headlines, the police is the last place you go. Red nodded. The moment he disappeared, the narrative changed. Accusations. Fake scandals. Claims that he ran away with stolen money. It was all orchestrated by the same people trying to kill him now. Zara frowned. But, the news said you abandoned everything. They showed pictures. Modified, Eli said bitterly. Edited. Lies so convincing that the world didn't question them. Except you, Red added, looking at Zara through the mirror. You didn't question anything. You helped him anyway. Zara lowered her eyes. She didn't feel brave. She felt like a small girl caught in a storm too big for her. But Eli's hand found hers again. You saved me when I had nothing left, he whispered. And now the world is about to learn the truth. A sudden crackle of static filled the SUV. A voice came through Red's comms. Broadcast leak incoming. It's starting. Red's eyes widened. What? From where? Global feed. Every news channel. They got footage. Footage of what? Zara's mother asked, clutching her daughter. The voice answered. Footage of the girl. Footage of Mr. Hale. Footage of the attack under the bridge. Someone uploaded everything, worldwide. Zara's heart dropped. Someone had been recording. Someone had waited. Someone had chosen this moment. Red scrambled to open the SUV's dashboard screen. A live news broadcast flickered on. A reporter's voice boomed. Breaking news. Elijah Hale, presumed dead billionaire and former CEO of Hale Industries, has been found alive in the slums of Briarwood Heights. Eli's chest tightened. The screen zoomed in on grainy footage. The teenagers recording Zara as she knelt beside Eli under the bridge. Their mocking voices crystal clear. Zara's compassion clear as day. Eli's broken figure impossible to ignore. The comments were already flooding. Is that Hale? The missing billionaire? Why is a little girl helping him? How did he fall this far? Who hurt him? What's going on in that company? Then came footage of the confrontation. Shadows of men approaching, the gunshot, the rescue agent emerging. Someone had captured it all. Zara covered her face, shaking. She had never imagined the whole world would see her. Not like this. Her mother pulled her close. "It's okay, baby. It's okay." On screen, the reporter continued. "This young girl, identity currently unknown, appears to be the only person who aided Mr. Hale during his disappearance. Authorities and the public are demanding answers." Eli shut his eyes, overwhelmed. He had tried to keep Zara safe. Tried to keep her anonymous. Now the world knew she existed, and the enemy did too. Red cursed under his breath. "This changes everything." Zara whispered, voice trembling, "Eli, are we in trouble?" Eli turned to her, eyes fierce. "No. They are." He looked squarely at the camera image of himself, broken, hunted, nearly dead, and felt something ignite in his chest. For months he'd been silent. Powerless. Erased. But now the world saw him. Now the truth was leaking. Now his enemies were exposed. He held Zara's hand with new determination. "They wanted me gone. But your kindness brought me back. And now I fight." Zara leaned against him, finally breathing. And across the globe, millions of people watched the story unfold. A billionaire in ruins. A poor little girl who saved him. A conspiracy bigger than anyone expected. The world was awakening. And it was only the beginning. By dawn, the world was on fire. Every news channel. Every social feed. Every radio station and blog. All of them carried the same explosive headline. "Elijah Hale is alive, and a little girl saved him." The leaked footage of Zara kneeling beside him had gone viral in hours. People reposted it with captions like, "Angels walk among us. How did a billionaire end up homeless? We demand answers." But not everyone reacted with compassion. Some called Eli a fraud. Some insisted the footage was faked. Some claimed Zara's kindness was a publicity stunt. And worst of all, his enemies panicked. As the SUV carrying Zara, her mother, and Eli pulled into a fortified private compound, Agent Red checked his comms again. "Sir, the board just issued a public statement." Eli winced. "Let me guess, more lies." Red handed him a tablet. "See for yourself." Eli tapped the screen. A live press conference was already in progress. A row of executives sat behind microphones, pretending to look concerned. The acting CEO, Marcus Devlin, spoke first. "We are shocked by the alleged footage circulating online. While we hope Mr. Hale is safe, we cannot confirm the video's authenticity. We urge the public to remain calm." Zara frowned. "Why are they lying?" "Because the truth destroys them," Eli murmured. Marcus continued. "If Elijah Hale is alive, we demand he come forward immediately to clear up financial discrepancies that occurred under his leadership. Our company cannot operate under these shadows." Eli clenched his jaw. "Unbelievable." Red folded his arms. "They're cornered. They're trying to flip the narrative before you can speak." Then a reporter shouted a question. "What about the little girl who helped him? Will she be protected?" Marcus forced a sympathetic smile. "The kind liars use. If such a girl exists, we hope authorities will ensure her safety." Zara felt a chill. She didn't like this man. She didn't like the way he talked about her like she wasn't a real person. "Turn it off," Eli said. "I'm done watching them pretend." Red clicked the screen off. As the team escorted them inside the compound, a stunning, high-tech safe house, Zara clung to her mother's hand. The building was all glass walls, steel frames, and quiet humming appliances. It was beautiful, but Zara didn't feel safe yet. The front room erupted when they entered. Medical staff rushed toward Eli. Security agents asked rapid-fire questions. A comms officer announced, "Sir, There are reporters outside the compound gates. Hundreds already. Eli winced. Let them wait. But they wouldn't have to wait long. Because something else was happening, something bigger. A second news network broke into the broadcast. We have obtained new footage of Elijah Hale being assaulted under the bridge, along with audio logs suggesting an attempted assassination. Zara gasped. Assassination? Her mother pulled her close. Sweetheart, don't listen. But Zara's eyes were already on Eli. Is that why you disappeared? She whispered. Eli lowered his gaze. Yes. Agent Red stood firm. Sir, if you don't speak publicly soon, they'll bury you again. The world needs to hear your voice before your enemies twist your story. Eli nodded slowly. He knew this moment was coming. He just didn't expect it so suddenly. He turned to Zara and knelt carefully despite his injuries. You changed everything, he told her. I need you beside me for this. Zara's eyes widened. Me? But I'm nobody. Eli shook his head. You're the reason the world believes I'm alive. You're the reason people are demanding the truth. And he wasn't wrong. The hashtags were already trending globally. Hashtag where is Zara? Hashtag help the girl who helped Hale. Hashtag Hale speaks. Hashtag justice for Eli. Zara swallowed her fear. She had never spoken to a classroom full of kids without shaking. How could she stand in front of the world? But then Eli took her hand. Just stay beside me, he said. That's all. Minutes later, they were standing behind a glass wall overlooking a sea of reporters, cameras flashing, microphones thrust forward, voices roaring. Zara clutched his hand tightly. Her mother stood behind her, giving her a soft nod. Agent Red stepped to the podium first. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for gathering on short notice. Mr. Elijah Hale will speak momentarily. But first, let us be clear. The man you saw in those videos is indeed Mr. Hale. He survived an orchestrated attack on his life. And thanks to the bravery of one little girl, he is standing here today. The crowd erupted. Cameras turned. Flashbulbs exploded. Questions flew like arrows. Then Eli stepped forward, steady despite the pain. Silence swept the crowd like a wave. He looked at them, then at Zara. Then he spoke. My name is Elijah Hale, he began, voice strong. And I did not disappear. I was hunted. Gasps. Shouts. Reporters scrambling to capture every word. He continued. Those who tried to destroy me are powerful. Wealthy. Connected. They expected me to die quietly. They expected no one to care. His eyes softened as he looked down at Zara. What they didn't expect, was her. Zara froze as every camera turned toward her. Her kindness saved my life, Eli said. Her courage exposed the truth. And I will not let the world forget what she did. Zara's heart thudded. She felt small. She felt huge. She felt seen. Eli faced the cameras again. And now. I'm ready to name those responsible. The crowd exploded. This was no longer a story. It was a war. And the world had just chosen its side. The press courtyard erupted into pure chaos. Reporters shouted over one another. Who hunted you, Mr. Hale? Is the girl safe? Do you have proof of an assassination attempt? Will you press charges? Camera lights flashed so rapidly that Zara had to squint. Her tiny hand tightened around Eli's, and he squeezed back gently, steadying her. Agent Red stepped closer, ready to intervene, but Eli shook his head. No, he murmured. Let me speak. He stepped to the microphone again. Silence didn't come instantly. But it came. Because the world wanted to hear the billionaire they thought was dead. Eli inhaled slowly, grounding himself before speaking. The men who attacked me, he began, were hired by a faction inside my own company. Men obsessed with power and money. Men who believed eliminating me would hand them full control of the empire I built. He paused as whispers spread through the reporters like wildfire. They stole from the company. They forged documents under my name. They orchestrated a smear campaign to justify my disappearance. His jaw tightened. And when I became a liability, they decided to erase me. Zara's heart pounded. She couldn't look away from him. Eli continued, voice strong and clear. For months, I lived in hiding. Injured. Alone. Watching the world believe lies about me, powerless to stop them. The reporters leaned in, breath held. But then. He looked down at Zara, small, trembling, clutching his sleeve like her life depended on it. My story intersected with a child whose kindness changed everything. Zara's cheeks warmed. Cameras zoomed in on her face, her braids, her oversized jacket, her timid eyes shining with emotion. She did not know who I was, Eli said. She had no reason to trust me. No reason to care. But when everyone else walked past me, mocked me, feared me, she stopped. She fed me. She shielded me. She treated me like a human being when the world treated me like trash. Zara blinked rapidly, trying not to cry. Gasps rippled through the audience. A few reporters wiped their eyes. She heard someone whisper. That little girl saved a billionaire's life. Eli straightened his shoulders. I will not allow anyone, to threaten this child or her mother. They are under my protection from this moment forward. Zara's mother, standing just behind them, covered her mouth as tears streamed down her face. Eli continued. No more lies. No more hiding. Today, the truth begins. He reached into his jacket pocket and placed a small device onto the podium. Red tapped the screen, and it projected a series of audio recordings and documents onto the giant screen behind them. Emails. Financial transfers. Boardroom conversations. Voice memos confirming plans to neutralize Hale permanently. The crowd erupted again, journalists nearly falling over themselves. Eli's voice boomed with righteous fury. These men tried to assassinate me. They tried to bury me. They tried to take everything my daughter died believing I stood for. Emotion cracked through the words. Zara gently touched his hand. He looked down, regained his composure, and continued. But because of one little girl's kindness, I am alive. And because of her courage, justice will be served. The crowd exploded. Chants began to rise. Justice for Hale. Protect the girl. Arrest the board. Reporters ran to call their stations. Live-stream comments surged worldwide. For the first time since he vanished, Eli Hale looked powerful again. Not because of wealth or status. But because he stood beside truth and innocence. A reporter shouted over the noise. Mr. Hale, what happens next? Eli didn't hesitate. Next, he echoed. The authorities will arrest the men who tried to kill me. The board members will answer for their crimes. And this child, Zara Monroe, will never struggle or fear for her life again. Zara's eyes widened. Eli. He knelt slowly, despite his injuries, and held both her hands. You saved me, he whispered. Now let me save you. The cameras clicked wildly, capturing a moment that would travel the world. A billionaire kneeling before a poor black girl who had changed the course of his life. Zara choked on a sob and threw her arms around him. Eli hugged her tightly, pressing a trembling hand to her hair. A reporter cried out. Mr. Hale, do you plan to adopt her? Support her family? Create something in her honor? Eli pulled back, looked at Zara with warmth and certainty, and said, "I plan to build a future for her, one that honors the heart that saved mine." The crowd roared. Justice had only just begun. The world was now watching. And what happened next would change not just their lives, but the lives of millions. It began with a single moment. A billionaire kneeling before a poor black girl, thanking her for saving his life. But what followed? What the world did with that moment would become a legacy far bigger than either of them ever imagined. The days after the revelation. The sun had barely risen the morning after Eli's public statement when the world responded. Not quietly. Not slowly. It erupted. Countries replayed the broadcast. Schools paused classes to discuss the story. Talk shows analyzed every second of Zara's kindness. Millions of people who had never agreed on anything suddenly agreed on one thing. The world needed more Zaras. More children, more people, who wouldn't step over someone's suffering. Who wouldn't assume the worst. Who wouldn't turn away. And as the media frenzy swelled, law enforcement stormed the offices of Hale Industries. Marcus Devlin and the corrupt board members were dragged from the building in handcuffs. Faces pale, eyes wide, their empire collapsing in real time. Live coverage showed Marcus shouting, "This isn't over. She ruined everything." Reporters immediately corrected. "No, she saved everything." Within 48 hours, the full truth came out. The forged financial documents. The assassination plot. The hidden accounts. The attempt to seize the company through Eli's death. The world was furious. But they were also inspired. Because through all the darkness, there stood a small girl who had shown the world what compassion looked like. Her name, Zara Monroe, echoed through every news station, every magazine, every social media feed. And she was overwhelmed. "Eli," she whispered one morning inside the safe house, "why are people talking about me so much? I didn't do anything big." Eli knelt beside her, his ribs still healing. "You did something most people don't have the courage to do. You saw a broken man and gave him dignity." Zara fidgeted. "But I'm just me." "That," Eli said softly, "is exactly why the world loves you." 3 weeks passed. Zara and her mother were relocated to a beautiful home Eli had personally chosen, a peaceful neighborhood, a real kitchen, a warm living room, and beds that didn't creak or sag. Zara's mother cried when she first walked through the door. Not because it was luxurious, but because it was safe. Eli placed a hand on her shoulder. "This isn't charity. This is gratitude." Zara ran through the rooms, laughing, jumping on her new bed, hugging the pillows like they were clouds. Her joy filled the house like light. But Eli wasn't done. In a televised announcement watched by nearly 1 billion people worldwide, he stepped onto a stage with Zara by his side. "My daughter," Eli said, voice steady, "believed the world could be better. After she died, I lost sight of that. But Zara reminded me." He turned to her with a gentle smile. "And together, we are building something new." Behind them, screens lit up with the unveiling of the Zara Foundation for Human Dignity. A global initiative with 3 missions. 1. Provide protection and resources for homeless individuals worldwide. Shelters. Medical care. Transitional housing. Skill-building programs. 2. Empower children in poverty with education and opportunities. Scholarships. School supplies. Access to tutors and mentors. 3. Train communities in empathy and crisis response. Workshops. Public awareness campaigns. Programs teaching people how to safely help those in need. It was massive. It was unprecedented. It was all inspired by one child's compassion. The world erupted in applause. Zara froze, stunned. Eli, that's my name. It's your heart, he corrected. The foundation is only borrowing your name. She hugged him so tightly he winced, but didn't let go. Something unexpected happened next. Children across the world started sharing their own acts of kindness using the hashtag #BeLikeZara. A girl in Brazil giving food to an elderly man. A boy in Kenya sharing his schoolbooks with a classmate. A teenager in Japan helping a homeless woman find shelter. A child in India standing up to bullies on a crowded bus. The movement spread faster than any government initiative ever had. Kindness became cool. Compassion became viral. And Zara, a girl who once walked home in torn sneakers, became a global symbol of what humanity could still be. News crews begged for interviews. Schools asked her to speak. Leaders from around the world asked to meet her. But Zara stayed grounded. Whenever reporters asked, "How did you change the world?" she gave the same answer every time. "I didn't change the world. I just didn't walk away." Months later, Marcus Devlin and his associates stood trial. The courtroom overflowed with spectators. Cameras lined the back wall. Eli testified calmly, recounting everything. The betrayal, the cover-ups, the assassination attempt. When Zara was asked to testify, Eli shook his head. She is a child. She owes none of this to anyone. But Zara tugged on his sleeve. It's okay, Eli. I want to. She stood on a step stool to reach the microphone. The entire courtroom leaned in. Her voice trembled, but her words were clear. When I saw him under the bridge, I didn't see a billionaire. I saw a person who needed help. I didn't know helping someone was illegal. People gasped. A few cried. The judge wiped her eyes. Marcus Devlin, once powerful and untouchable, now looked utterly defeated. The verdict was swift. Guilty on all counts. Eli took Zara's hand as they left the courthouse, whispering, "You just helped bring justice to the world." She smiled. We did it together. Years later, the Zara Foundation had shelters in 32 countries. Children carried Zara's story in their schoolbooks. Statues of her helping Eli stood in city squares. Her name became synonymous with hope, compassion, and bravery. Zara grew into a brilliant young woman, smart, kind, unafraid to speak truth. Eli remained in her life every step of the way, mentor, guardian, friend, family. The wound left by his daughter's death never fully healed, but Zara became a new source of light. And every year, on the anniversary of the night she found him, Eli said the same words. "You didn't just save my life. You gave it purpose again."